following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Nicky Spagnola.
And a happy St. Patrick's Day to you on this edition of Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones, Everson Walls. We were here last week. Mickey Spagnola was not here last week. Has anything happened?
Wait. Mickey wasn't here last week?
He wasn't. You didn't
Heck
notice?
no, I wasn't.
Remember, he was on a ski slope somewhere.
Oh, and I was sitting over there.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I sat there, I was thinking that the chair would make me like cranky. You know what I mean? But it didn't. I was like the same person all over
And
again.
it helped you be knowledgeable?
No, it did not.
Not at all. No.
Because I didn't pass
no.
it off to you.
You did not. No.
I was.
Bill had to save the show because I was definitely dragging it down with your energy from your chair.
Let's
just call it what it is.
I was thinking about you guys.
You were?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about
Surprised you
you.
didn't call in.
I almost called in, and I just didn't feel the energy.
What do you say, Chris? Going down that old Bunny Hill.
Yeah, Mickey going,
Yeah.
Not the Black Diamond. He's going down the Bunny Hill. Yeah.
Bunny Hill, all four of you.
There's three
I
of us. Well, you didn't come in on crutches, so
No.
that's a good thing.
Thank goodness.
My Achilles passed the test.
How many times have you been on IR, man? I mean, how many times you gotten hurt?
IR?
Yeah, like crutches.
1, 2.
Okay.
You
Probably
can't count that high.
Probably 4 times.
4 times
Four
you've been on
times.
crutches.
In how many years?
I think the first time it was like
But how
40 some years ago.
Okay. Wow.
So in the last, it's like 5 years, it's been like 3 times.
3.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
You're starting to break down.
That's what it is.
That's why you can't sign these over 30-year-old free
That's
agents,
right.
right?
Better be careful.
That's
Better
right.
be careful with the guaranteed money.
That's right, baby.
That's
I
right.
haven't had any guaranteed money.
Well,
And it was a good time, by the way.
You had a good
good.
time. You needed it, didn't you?
Yes.
Where'd
no
you go?
tan, bro. What's your tan? I mean, you
I
know.
was covered up. It got cold.
Where
early
were
in the
you?
week. Summit County in Colorado.
Okay.
I'll tell you one funny story. First day, finished. We were at the top, going to ski down one more time, and that was it. Took a break, went in, got some water, warmed up, came out. My skis were missing.
Whoa.
No skis.
What happened?
Oh, no.
They weren't there.
Someone took them.
You're lying, bro.
No, they
That's-
weren't.
It must have been
This
accidental.
is a
They
funny
took the wrong
story?
ski.
So that gets funnier.
Okay.
So I kind of hung around for a while, right? Like outside the upper mountain house, there's like 4 racks of skis, and I knew where I put mine. They weren't there. So I kind of waited and said, okay, maybe somebody by mistake took them, right? So I started looking around, and I found another pair of skis that were exactly like mine, except the poles were different. They had red handles. And I'm going, okay, somebody can't be that stupid to take mine and not notice the poles on the handles on my poles are black and his were red, right?
Is that little distinction? Is it?
That's huge.
Okay.
So I hung around, and it was getting ready to close up, and those skis were still there. And I'm going, that guy took my skis.
But it was an accident.
But I said, what are the chances that he took my skis and his boot, fit in my bindings?
Right. So you have to have another little pipsqueak walking around there
I was sitting there. Yeah, and what are the chances somebody's got a foot my size, right?
Right.
So I was sitting there, and my wife goes, well, see if those fit you. And I go, well, there's no way that's going to happen. So they fit.
They fit, right?
So I took a picture of the skis, and they told me to go down to Lost and Found when I get down. So I had to ride the darn gondola down.
I bet you look so cute.
I
bet you look so cute. Yeah.
Right?
Well, take those skis and ski him down.
So
Found.
I didn't.
Hey, it sounds like a plan to me, Chris.
That's what I would.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Someone took
So
my
you know
skis,
what?
I'm gonna
There
take
was a
theirs.
sticker on the guy's skis. It had his name on there, right? So I took a picture. I go down to the Lost and Found where they told me, and the guy says, "Yeah, you know what? If we got his name, we can look up his lift ticket and track him down and see if he took your skis." Because I left the other ones up there, right? So he was waiting on somebody else, and he said, "Okay, we need to fill out this form." So we start filling out the form, and I showed him the name on the skis, and he repeated it and had the guy's address. So he must have bought them, right? There's a guy standing next to me, and he goes, "Wait a minute, that's me."
Oh, Lord.
He took my skis. He had them in his car on the rack, and then he realized that the poles were different, and he came back to see if somebody.
Yeah, but see, somebody
took
that
his
that
skis.
small distinction. That's tough to, you know.
What are the chances, though? The guy was standing right there.
How tall was he?
Oh, he was a little bit taller, not much. So I marched him right to his car to get my skis. I said, "They might send yours down, but give me my skis."
And you know what the moral of the story is?
Rent skis.
No, the moral of that story is that the Cowboys haven't done squat in free agency. Because we're talking about Mickey's skis the first 5 minutes.
What do
of
you
the
mean?
show.
That's a good one, Bill. Yeah, that's what that means. That means we have nothing to talk about.
They're on the verge.
We have other teams to talk about,
They're
not
on the
us.
verge of signing Dorrance Armstrong. You're not excited?
The only yeah, we can talk about not signings we had. Let's talk about the not signings we had. How about that one?
I got a long list.
Yeah, I
here.
bet you do. Well, I wanted the top of the list. Go right to the top.
All right, yeah. Where we starting? There's so much to talk about.
We got to start with. Come on, we got to start with Randy, guys. Come on, let's just start.
Yeah,
with Randy.
absolutely.
Let's just get it
All
out
right.
the way, man.
Let's go. Let's
just
go.
get it out the way. I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, what was the
I don't-
deciding factor? Is it that obvious that the man just wants to go somewhere where he can smoke some weed? Is it that obvious? Come on.
Having been in Colorado for a week,
Where it's legal. I'm sure you smelled it at the airport as soon as you came in, didn't you?
the dispensaries are about as plentiful as 7-Elevens.
Yeah. Been there. I've been there.
Every corner, by the way. No. I don't. You know what? I'm not sure he wanted to be here. I don't know why. And he didn't have the nerve to tell Jerry no. And
Wait. Okay, say that again.
I don't think I think his agent wanted him in Denver.
Okay.
Schaefer is based in Denver,
Right.
by the way.
Yeah, but that is that a factor? Your agent tells you that?
I think Jerry talked him into it. And then at the last minute, it was like, okay, we're going to come up with some menial excuse for not signing.
So the
his
agent's running
contract.
everything. You're telling me Randy Gregory
Well-
has no say in his own future when you're talking
No,
about
I think
his,
he
when
didn't.
you-
I think he wanted to go to Denver, and he didn't have the nerve to tell Jerry no.
So you think that after all that we've been through together, bringing him out of, really from being out of the league, hanging on to him, having trust in him, kind of, molding him a little bit, making sure he's okay, give him a chance to have a second career.
And then to him feel indignant that the Cowboys didn't trust him and had that in his contract. Come on.
After what they've been through with him,
Yeah.
How long was the suspension?
Well, it's been 6 years, right?
Yeah.
He was a 2015 draft
that's
choice,
been that long.
right? But he only
That's
played
7
5
seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
five years of service.
But going through all the ups and downs together.
Right.
Yeah, together. You would think that he would say, you know what, this is my place. This is where I'm going to be.
I don't. That's why
I mean, we're in harmony. You're thinking we're in harmony.
I don't understand it. I don't think there's any logic to the entire thing. And his agent has been around for a long time. So don't tell me he came up with this excuse that, they snuck this clause into the contract. He knows what the Cowboys' contracts are. He knows to read the whole thing.
Right.
Don't come up the last minute and say, we changed our mind. And the other thing that ties into this, I was reading. See, I was told from here, Von Miller was going back to Denver. And then when Denver saw that they couldn't afford Von Miller,
$120 million.
Yeah, well,
decided
it's actually 3 years, $53 million. So a little under $18 million a year.
it's 17.5 over the first 4 years of the contract. $51 million guaranteed. But after Denver saw that they couldn't afford that, they said, okay, we're signing Randy Gregory. And it was cheaper. So, yeah, there's no way they tried to sneak something in there. It's there. It's on everybody's contract. Schaefer knows that. And to come up with that was the excuse, I just
so
don't think.
the Gregory contract, even though it reads 5 years, $70 million, $28 million guaranteed, what is it in reality?
It is.
Is it 2 years, $28 million?
The
Basically?
So it's 5 years, $70 million. He's guaranteed $28 million.
Right.
And so $4 million base salary for 2022, $14 million base salary guaranteed for 2023. So that's 18, and a $10 million signing
So that's
bonus.
20, yeah.
So it's $28 million.
So by the
guaranteed.
third year, they can get out of it with it was a $10 million signing bonus?
Yes.
And so
The way I looked at it,
at $6 million on their cap, they
From
get
a-
out of it in their third year.
from a cap standpoint, it's a 3-year, $42 million deal, and they can get out of it in 2025 for $4 million in dead money.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's $28 million guaranteed.
So do you think getting up back, forget the number. Do you think that he is that influenced by his agent to where he was like, hey man, forget what these guys did for you. You know, this is where you need to be in Denver.
I'm convinced somebody got in his head.
Is it that easy to get in his head? I don't know what kind of kid
Yeah,
he
and
is.
I don't know that
I don't know what kind of kid
either.
he is.
Because he seems, I think he's pretty bright, and pretty sharp, and I don't know that he did. He got indignant because he's, And here's the weird thing: if you get suspended, you don't get paid. That's part of the league, and it's part of the league that the team has to write to get prorated signing bonus back from the games you missed. Go ask Lyle Collins. That's why Lyle Collins fought his 6-game suspension. It wasn't about, well, I got to play. No, I got to get my money. And that's why he was fighting the suspension. So
Now, what is the nuance between Lyle Collins versus what would happen with Gregory? Because you're talking about suspensions versus fines, correct?
You're talking about the clause in the contract?
Yes.
it's a suspension. So they have the right to get money back from you that they've paid you.
And the process would be the same whether you're talking. There's no nuance between the two.
Well, I don't know that the fine, like if the league fines you, they don't suspend you now for testing positive for a substance.
Right.
If you get fined, I don't know how league works, but I guess the team, the team wouldn't try to get money back because you're not missing anything, right? But if you're missing something, they have that right. So, I was shocked, and they were too, by the way. And then there was this thing floating around that, well, the Cowboys screwed up the negotiation because Jerry and Steven weren't part of it, and their capologist Adam was taking care of it. No, they were on the phone with him and had convinced him to sign with the Cowboys, but Denver was already talking to him.
Right.
That's why I wrote today that, the Broncos on their social media tweeted out, surprise! And it's like, do you think anything surprises me these days? Absolutely not.
Well, do you think that their delay in working with him as well, because it seemed like he was not necessarily priority? We got Gallup done, right?
Yeah.
Cooper's gone, right?
But he signed the same deal with Denver that he was going to sign with the Cowboys. So
minus the clause.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the same deal.
Yeah. Well,
So-
minus the clause.
Right.
Minus the clause.
But they
That's
said
key.
we didn't know that clause was in there.
Uh-huh.
I ain't believing it.
So, how upset should the Cowboys be that Randy Gregory's not on the team?
I think they probably should be very upset.
I think so.
Especially after all the time, effort. And remember, what was it, 2 years ago? They advanced him money and extended his contract so he could pay for his rehab when he wasn't playing and when he got suspended that entire season. I mean, they bent over backwards to keep
There's
him.
no doubt. They've made some concessions. No doubt they have. So
Okay, maybe I'll phrase it this way. Do you two think that he should have been a priority in free agency?
Well, he was. They were signing him before free agency
No, I'm saying
began.
in your opinion, if you were calling the shots and putting this team together, would he have
Well,
been
you
it?
think they should have paid him more?
No, I'm myself. I'm
Yeah.
like, look elsewhere. I'm just looking at the track record over the last 7 years.
Right.
And with
More
that
of a hassle. He's not
kind of
worth the
money,
hassle.
and it's not the off the field stuff at all, because that's seems to be taken care of. The production has not been there. This past season, even the production was not there. He didn't stay on the field for 17 games. He had 6 sacks. There's plenty of guys out there, and you can find edge rushers. Go find some other edge rushers and spend money.
it's a
that
lot
way.
of them out there.
I mean, that's the way I looked at it from the get-go. Is okay. Unless he comes at a rate that you're comfortable paying, and I would not have been comfortable paying $14 million a year because I haven't had the production. I mean, it's 16 sacks in his career, and move on. Let's go. Let's find somebody else.
See,
I think when you look at some of the plays that he made.
I see the talent is there.
Yeah. You saw some of the
Yeah.
amazing plays that went along with an entire group that was making a lot of good plays. So he fit in well with that group. And so, you could bring somebody in, another edge rusher. Edge rushers don't have to necessarily be in tune to the defense. They're edge rushers. They're very limited in what they have to do, their responsibilities. But that's what gives them the ability to kind of be creative physically. They don't have to think too much because they're just playing edge rushers. But when you look at it, he did well within the concept of this defense and all those other guys that were making plays.
But it wasn't sustained over
Right.
the course of an entire season.
and I think part of what you would be paying for is the threat, because you know what he's capable of if he ends up producing, and other teams have to account for his presence.
Right.
And it's not all sacks; it's his ability to put pressure, and he had a bunch of pressures, led the team in pressures, if I'm not mistaken, and the fact that he could play the run. Now, if he just stays on side, but that's another.
we had a few of those games.
That's another.
But there are a lot of edge rushers
Right.
out there.
I
There's
mean-
no doubt about it. We in regards to just getting to the quarterback, yes, we can always find someone. But can we find someone that could do the small things?
Right.
Play the run well.
and be the threat that he
They got a
was.
better edge rusher playing linebacker right now.
Well, they do, but then they don't
We
have
need
any
him as
linebackers.
linebacker. That's
And so
right. How much did we
there's
talk
other
about
there's
this?
other ways of skinning this cat. Okay, so all right,
Yeah.
if you can't find edge rushers, you got one at linebacker. Play him at edge rusher and sign you a linebacker or 3.
Or 3. So I mean,
And
So
then again, it comes
my-
down to what kind of money you're going to sign.
well, and
pay
here's
for another
the
edge
other
rusher.
thing. Everybody's saying, well, okay, now because his average was going to be $14 million a year, right? But you don't immediately count $14 million a year against the salary cap. So what his cap charge was going to be for the first year was $6 million. So that's all they got to play with,
Right.
Right? For this year, it's $6 million. It's not like, okay, they got 14. Well, let's go spend $14 million on somebody else. No, it doesn't work that
So
way.
the cap that Cooper created for us, that's pretty much used up with the 2 contracts with Schultz and Gallup.
primarily, although Schultz's contract, they'll get a long-term deal done with that.
Which will ease the cap.
He's not going to play under the cap
tag,
for a tag.
Which is $10.9 million.
11 million, yeah. 10.9, $11 million.
But my point on the edge rusher thing is, if I'm behind, if I'm back there making decisions, okay, Randy Gregory didn't take our offer, he moves on. I mean, I think you've got in your hip pocket that Micah Parsons card. You know?
And you could always go that way.
Right.
I don't know
apparently
you want him there every down of every game.
But apparently the draft there are some good edge rushers in this draft. There are other guys out there, whatever.
There's a lot of guys, a lot of veterans out there. There's a lot of veterans guys.
And there's a number of ways to, we focus so much on our own players that I lose sight of what else is around the league. You look around, and there are some guys out there that can contribute. Maybe they're not in every down, but a specialty pass rusher. I mean, Houston signed one in this Obo Okoronkwo, who I think has got a lot of potential. He was with the Rams the last 4 years, and the Rams are pretty set in their front seven, and now he gets an opportunity back home in Houston. I would have, he probably, I don't know what he signed for, but it was a 1-year deal. It wasn't for that much money. Bring him in here, and as a third down pass rusher.
So you're saying you don't need to give a 33-year-old edge rusher a 6-year, $120 million deal?
Man, that was crazy. I thought that was
and guaranteeing
too many years.
$51 million.
Too many years, man. That was impressive. His agent must really be good. I don't know what he sold.
Or it shows you Buffalo had money to spend under the cap.
Which is amazing considering the team that they've had.
I know, but they're not spending on their quarterback, right? He's still under his first contract, if I'm correct. Tell me who their running back is.
Tell me who their slot receiver is now.
Cole Beasley, let go.
Who's available?
Right.
Okay.
There he comes back.
So, when we come back here on Mix Shots, we move into the wide receiver realm on this team and other things that are going on that impact this team. Yeah, they'll make some moves eventually in free agency.
Just not the first week.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Back to Mixed Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, kpostcompany.com.
All right, we continue with more Mick shots. We've discussed edge rusher. We want to go wide receiver now?
Let's go wide.
Michael Gallup just spoke to the media, had a conference call.
11:30, so he should be probably about done if it was on time.
And so that was a nice deal for him. And, of course, the news of the past week, Amari Cooper is now a Cleveland Brown. Cowboys exchange 6th-round picks and pick up a 5th. And now they've got 2 other compensatory 5th-round picks, so they've got four 5th-round picks in this upcoming draft.
And you love that for the draft, don't you? Start spending them things to move up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Michael Gallup signs a 5-year deal, $57.5 million, could be as much as $62.5. He got a $10 million signing bonus, $23 million guaranteed, and one of the key things in his contract is they gave him a per-game roster bonus, so $58,823 for each game he plays, up to $1 million a year. So he can add $1 million a year to that 5-year deal for $5 more million.
Has his injury been updated? I mean, are they thinking still, like we talked, pup list, first 6 games?
I don't know if it's 6, if it's 4. All I know is
I know he's going to try to get back as soon as he can so he can get that roster bonus.
If I count 7 months, and that's kind of conservative, right, return for an ACL, and he had it in the middle of February, that gets me through September.
Would you like to hear what Michael Gallup said about it?
What did he say?
Yes.
His goal is to be ready for the season opener coming off February ACL surgery. He, quote, "You don't want to miss games, but you can't put a timetable on it, but that's obviously the goal. You want to play as soon as possible, but you've got to make sure you're right before you go out there."
And so that's nothing new.
And seven,
but that's the latest.
And right. Even if
that's what he just said.
Even if returns in 7 months, you got to keep rehabbing, right? And by the time you get in, you're going to miss the off season.
Not to mention those routes are a little different against air versus a real person. Yes.
So
now we have to look for
week 7.
You think?
Start him on PUP.
Well, the good thing is the season starts later again, right? Middle of September instead of the 1st of September, I think. Am I right?
It's been like that.
Bill's going to scroll. He's going to scroll.
It starts the week after Labor Day, right?
Well, last year, was it?
I mean, it was September 9th because they started on a Thursday.
Right,
so
and Labor
September
Day was
12th.
late last year, too.
September 5th or so.
But anyway, if you go through the whole month of September that you're not ready, you're going to miss 2 or 3 games for sure, right? And now you're in October. Do they put him on PUP if he's not ready to go?
And if you start on PUP, you miss 6 games, you still got 11 regular season games to play.
The whole college season, right?
There you go. So
that lets you know what they think about Amari Cooper, sending him to Cleveland. That was ugly. That was ugly. That's not the place I'd want to end up if I'm leaving the Cowboys. Leading the team all the time I was here. That's a tough one.
If you were Amari Cooper, okay, and so his salary that $20 million. That's his base.
His base, $20 million.
Base, and so he's still on his existing contract.
Correct.
And he's got that guarantee coming up 5th day of the 4 days away.
Yeah.
Okay. You would rather be a free agent, right, than go to Cleveland on the existing contract or not?
Well,
I mean, what's the market out there?
They got rid of Landry for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
And they need him. So there's no pressure for you to.
And they're not getting Deshaun Watson, by the way. That was decided this morning.
So the only way they can change your mind.
And they sound like they're going to have an adult at quarterback now.
Yeah, that's what they said, an adult. Yes.
Who said that?
No, that's what they said.
I think it was Mort reported it yesterday that it was an anonymous source inside the Browns organization.
They're looking forward to it.
They need to find an adult to play quarterback.
Yeah.
So the only way they can.
So I'm thinking it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo.
That is what it's going to be.
The only way they can convince him to redo the contract would be to give him signing bonus. Give me money up front. Right? And I don't have to work 18 weeks for $20 million. I'll take half of it today, and then I'll restructure my contract for you. But that leaves to me, after what we just talked about Michael Gallup, maybe not ready for start of the season. The Cowboys just created another hole that they got to fill.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he's the number one receiver. I don't care numbers, right? I don't care. He had 78 catches and CeeDee Lamb had 88 or whatever it was. Or he had 68, whatever his catches
68
were.
and 78 or
68,
something like that.
yeah.
We still need wideouts.
Who now, if it's CeeDee Lamb and what for the season
Exactly.
opener? Tell me that.
What are you willing to pay for a veteran wide receiver right now?
Depends how old. Like Julio Jones.
Okay, let's throw his name out there.
No, let's not.
He's 33.
Let's not.
And,
but he's an old 33.
And he's got hamstring issues the last 2 seasons.
And we talked about him during the season. Remember, we saw him on TV, and it was like, where did Julio Jones go? He didn't look like the same guy.
The injuries take its toll, man.
Right?
I mean, they really do.
And it's shown up the last 2 years. You can just look at his playing time the last 2 years.
And Tennessee went through a lot of trouble to get him.
They gave up a second and a fourth.
And the coach never liked him.
10 games out
the
of him.
coach never liked him. They never got along.
And so if it's a veteran guy, then it would have to be a 1-year prove-it deal to me. Now, Jarvis Landry's out there, right? How much does he want to say? Everybody go, but the question is, how much do they want to make? And if it's April and you're still sitting out there and everybody's reporting to off-season practice, you might take a little less. You're sitting there going, I don't have a job, and I better get going.
And Landry was a good receiver until this whole Baker Mayfield thing started coming up, the shoulder injury that really affected both of their production.
Right.
And it all fell back on Landry. And from then on, they're pressing. Beckham's still there at that time, and they're pressing, trying to make things happen. And Landry's play suffered because he missed a lot of passes. And when that light is shined on you, and you're the number one guy, and you don't come through, it gets brighter and brighter. And that's what happened with Landry. His career was decent. His career was more than decent, but this past year did not hold up to the standards that he's used to putting out.
So, having said that, do you think CeeDee Lamb is a number one receiver?
I do. I think CeeDee Lamb is our number one receiver. I do think he can handle that. We can put him in different places.
Okay.
We can put him in the backfield. At the same time, having somebody like Michael Gallup out there, not first 7 games, obviously, but when he's on, having him out there trying to do things. Here's what we did last year, and Michael Irvin brought up a good point. We had a lot of good players, but they're not the great players. They're not the guys that we need to come through. And as we went down the stretch and the line started, having problems, and we started having problems passing the ball, that's who needed to step up for us. The superstars, the CeeDee Lambs, the Coopers, okay, they did not step up for us. And if they did step up, we didn't have enough time to give them the ball. And that really affected everything with the Cowboys. So to me, well, like Michael Irvin said, you got to go to your stars. No matter what. You can't go to Cedric Wilson right now. You see what happened with that. This is crucial. We can't call Cedric Wilson's play. We can't call his number. This is the time. This is why we pay CeeDee Lamb. This is why we give him all the hype. This is why we pay Cooper. This is what we brought him back for. Gallup, we need you guys to come through for us right now. We didn't allow them to do that. We didn't call their number when it was time.
So you've only got one number to call.
Now you got one. Well, maybe two.
Well, maybe two
with Schultz.
Depending. Well, yeah. But I think Schultz. I think Schultz ended up with the production he had because of
the double teams,
ability to cover the Cowboys' wide receivers, and it's like, okay, well, let's go.
But what they did, they came up and jammed them. That's what they did. They squatted on every route, so they left the middle wide open. I mean, tight ends have made a living off of that forever. That's how I learned Novacek's name.
And how do you get rid of that? You run the football.
That's right.
And how do you run the football? That'll get us to our next subject. The offensive line, right?
That's right.
So now they've got a hole there.
And, okay, so what's the status on this Lyle Collins trade?
Well, you can trade him, but it's $13 million in dead money. Either all
They're only
this
saving
year,
$1.5 million, right?
all this year or part this year and part next year. if you make them but if you trade them, you
it's all
can't
this year.
designate them June 1, right? If you release them, you designate.
So what do you? Okay, so
but you don't get that money until June 1 on his base salary, which guarantees
can sign a draft class.
Half of it gets guaranteed here in by the 20th.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I've got my little March 20th here. What happens?
So what do you need? Okay, my question for you is, if you've made the decision that you're moving on from Collins, what do you need to get in return in a trade to how high a draft pick do you need in order for you to take that rather than the benefit that you can have by designating him a post-June 1st cut?
I need more than the 5th, but who's going to give you that knowing that you're probably going to cut him, right?
Well, I mean, you can say the same thing about Cooper, who was going to give you a 5th.
And that's what they got, right? Which made me laugh yesterday. Washington, and I finally got to type Commanders.
Yeah.
But by mistake, I typed Commodores, which I think is a better name.
Yeah,
That's
That
would have been a good name.
Commodores,
That
right?
really would have been a good
They
name.
could have got Lionel to sing.
Commanders is just so bland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Commodores, man, that brings some spark, man. That brings a little spice to it.
So evidently,
The Washington Commodores.
evidently,
That would be great,
bro.
They should have asked me.
Wow, they should have asked Washington Commodores.
But anyway, they were.
Is it too late?
Yeah, I think so. They've.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's fine.
So anyway, they were debating what to do with Matt Ioannidis. Is that how I say it? Ioannidis?
That's good. Yeah, you got it.
And evidently, they said they weren't going to trade him, right? And then they weren't going to cut him, and then they cut him.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, of course. They're not going to say we're letting him go and then try to trade him. Who's going to trade for him, right? So the agent, I think it's Alan Herman, he accused Washington of lying. And I said, imagine that, an agent accusing somebody of lying.
Oh, man.
So anyway, back to the offensive line. If they're going to make that move, then they think Terrence Steele can step up and be the starting right tackle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you still have an opening at guard. Mm-hmm. Because somebody thought Connor Williams was worth $7 million a year over 2 years.
Mm-hmm. $14 million over 2 years.
14.
$7
That's what I
million
meant.
per year.
$7 a year. Yeah. So now you got a hole there. And I'm sorry, there's not every draft a Zach Martin out there that you can qualify using a first-round pick on for a guard.
He belittles such positions sometimes of strength and just brings them down.
But you could trade down, like you did when you got a center,
right?
In Travis Frederick.
But he touches the ball every play, right? It's a guard. I'm not using a first-round pick on a guard.
Unless that guard is your
Zach
eventual
Martin.
tackle.
Right, exactly. So I'm drafting.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm drafting a tackle to play guard. Because we're sitting here, and okay, say you cut Lyle Collins, right? So, Terrence Steele can step up and be the starter. Now what happens at the third tackle? Who is it?
The fourth-round pick from last year out of Marshall.
Okay, hopefully, because we're just...
What's his name?
Josh Ball.
Josh
Ball, of course. Yeah.
But we're assuming that Tyron Smith's just going to go out there and play 17 games, right? And even when he got back, he struggled a little too. It wasn't the same Tyron Smith. So
you're thinking draft a left tackle who can play guard.
How about the second round? Can I get one that can play guard? Yeah. Sort of the way they did with Flozell Adams. Remember? He was a tackle. He started at guard and then moved outside when they needed to put him at tackle. They did it the next year with Solomon Page.
Okay.
Did the same thing.
Oh,
He
Solly.
played
That's my
guard,
dude.
and then he went out and played tackle. That's what I would do. I'm not drafting a pure guard in the first round anyway.
Well, have they developed now, into players that can be multitasking players? I mean, that it's like nowadays you've got these hybrid safeties that can play safety and linebacker. I mean, are we getting to the point to where linemen are getting groomed to where you can play tackle and guard at the same time? Because everyone acts like it's the nuances and the differences of that is so vast that you can't do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be tough to be like a safety in a corner.
So do we need to move to the other spot they need to fill since you brought up that?
I guess so.
You brought up two things right away there with linebacker and safety.
Yes.
All right, one other thing, though, on offensive line.
Yes.
Are you out now? When was Connor Mcgovern drafted in the third round? What year is he now?
This is 4. Is this 4?
I got to look him up.
I think it is.
Okay.
So what are you saying?
Are you out now on Connor Mcgovern? Is he not a candidate to be a starting left guard on this team?
Well, he got a chance.
I know he got a chance.
And it didn't play off.
What about our offensive line coach? Who is he?
Joe Philbin.
Is he still here?
Yes.
Is he the man? Is he the man? Can he coach?
And Mcgovern was in 19, so yeah, he'll be a free agent after this coming season.
Can he take these young guys and make them
I thought he
better?
did a pretty good job with Terrence Steele.
There you go.
From where he was as a rookie to how he played last year.
So when you're talking about the guys with this potential, Mcgovern and guys like that, can he take them to the next level as a coach? Because, I mean, of course you've got talent. But when you have a system here that's based on running the ball, protecting the quarterback, can he bring these guys back to where we need them to be? We don't need superstars necessarily to be good linemen. We've had average linemen blocking our defensive linemen all over the place last year when we couldn't stop the run. Do we need all pros to make this work on our offensive line?
So you're saying you wouldn't spend 3 years, $49.5 million on Brandon Scherf?
Who is that?
The Washington offensive guard who went to Jacksonville.
Okay.
And by the way, the Commodores just we're going to call them the Commodores.
We're calling them the Commodores.
Because I'm going to type that.
We're calling them the Commodores. We're doing them a favor.
The Commodores they basically have made a trade of guards because Andrew Norwell, who was with Jacksonville, is now with the Commodores.
And Scherf went to Jacksonville.
That's right.
$33 million in 2 years, $30 million guaranteed for a guard.
And so, what was his pedigree?
He was a Pro Bowler.
He
was good.
Okay.
One thing that doesn't work on the Commodores' nickname. Carson,
he is gone. He's not listening to a word we're saying.
Carson Wentz does not look like the quarterback of the Commodores.
No, he does not. He's the Commanders.
Right.
Yeah, he's the quarterback of the Commanders. No, not the Commodores. No. You got to bring Haskins back in. Yeah,
they should have signed Teddy Bridgewater.
That's right. Teddy Two Gloves, and the Commodores. Uh-huh. That is a great name. Yeah. Teddy Two Gloves and the Commodores. Yeah, we're good.
Jameis would have been good.
Jameis Winston and the Commodores.
Is anybody surprised that Cedric Wilson got what he did for Miami?
No, I'm not.
I'm not surprised.
No.
And okay, good. All right. I had someone say, well, the Cowboys should have given him that money. What do you think?
No.
3 years, $22 million.
That's to me, that would be a lot for your third receiver.
That's what I'm talking about. And he played like a third receiver down the stretch.
How much are they getting? Okay, they got to bring in a veteran, right?
I think so.
So how much then are you willing to pay this veteran?
Not that much.
So you're looking at max $5 million?
And he got guaranteed $12.75. So over 3 years, that's like $4 million a year. So they didn't really pay that much. But it's still $4 million a year when you're in the shape you are. I heard somebody start arguing, well, who's going to throw the football? And it's like, I'm worried about who's going to catch the football. I'm worried about the 3 end-around passes.
Okay, so we moved next to what position?
Let's go linebacker.
Linebacker. Who's going to play linebacker for this team, aside from Micah, when we come back here on Mix Shots?
That's all we have.
And if we have
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to Mixed Shots.
Whether you're watching from home or cheering in the stands, with SLR lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local SLR experts and find the perfect SLR lens for you. See more, do more, SLR.
Okay, I got to get this. You got this?
I saw, and I was trying to picture who that is.
What it...
I was at a football camp.
Yeah, I know.
In Houston.
Someone who was helping you coach.
Yeah, no, I was helping him.
Oh, you were helping him.
This guy. You don't recognize this guy?
Wait, what era is that?
You don't recognize this guy?
I do, and I can't.
Who is he? Freaking Mizzou, dude. This is Mizzou, right? You went to Mizzou, right?
Yeah.
He went to Mizzou.
Ron Fellows.
No.
No, it's not Ron Fellows.
Think quarterback.
It's not Phil Bradley.
No, it's not Phil Bradley.
Who's the other one?
The other one.
The other one.
Yeah,
No.
who's the other one?
Actually, we've moved on from Phil. We've had several
Yes, you have.
African-American quarterbacks.
He got very politically correct there, didn't he? Several African-American quarterbacks.
I don't recognize it.
That's Brad.
Brad Smith.
Thank you.
It is?
Thank you. Didn't go to Mizzou.
When did his face get that big?
Hey, man, you get old.
When did his face get
Screen's black.
He was a skinny guy.
That's him, dude.
Is it really?
Yes,
Brad Smith.
that's Brad Smith.
What's
he was
he
coaching.
doing?
He was coaching the quarterbacks down there.
Oh, at the workout.
camp. At the camp. We were doing a camp for high school
But
kids.
what's he doing like in life?
Oh, I didn't ask him
You
that.
didn't
I
ask
said,
him
man,
that?
take this picture so I can send this to your dude.
That's
you didn't
good.
recognize
Brad
him,
Smith.
man.
No,
Brad
I
Smith.
did not.
Man, this dude here, man, he influenced me a lot just from, watching him play and
That's only
as
like
well as he did at
15
Mizzou.
years ago.
He did a hell of a job. I really was inspired by him.
Who's the greatest quarterback in Missouri history?
Is it Bradley? No.
He knows where I'm going with it.
We're gonna have to go way back.
No, you're not.
It's
Chase Daniel.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And by the way, he's coming back for his 14th year in the NFL.
And he's played a total of 10
5 games.
5
games.
10, no, 5.
5 games. These Chargers re-signed.
Do you realize?
Just go ahead and be a coach, man.
I remember. It reminds me of we did when the old Cowboys channel. We did a high school football game. South Lake Carroll played Denton Ryan.
Yes,
it was a playoff game.
At Texas Stadium.
Yeah.
And Mickey Chase Daniel had committed to Missouri, so Mickey had to go check him out. So he goes down on the field because he just wanted to see how tall this guy was because he wasn't sure he was tall enough to be able to play.
And my conclusion was, I'm a little worried about a short quarterback.
Well, he kind of didn't.
He wanted to see if he's taller than Mickey.
Well, he didn't play, really.
He did at Missouri and played well.
Of course, Missouri, but
he put him back on the map.
Oh, it's no doubt. No,
and as a
Chase
matter
was
of fact,
the man, bro.
As a matter of fact, he did a charity golf tournament, and it was for his charity and the University of Missouri, and I hosted the awards ceremony. So he was up
Are you
there.
still taller than him?
And I said, I told the story. I did tell the story.
He's gotten a little thicker,
right?
Spags.
Yeah.
He's looking thick.
I told the story, made people laugh, and he's standing next to me, got on his tippy toes to show that he was much taller than I was.
Yes,
right?
he's a little rounder than you are,
But
too.
mentioning Phil Bradley, so I was back in Columbia covering Missouri football. It was 1977, and Pete Woods was the starting quarterback, and in the season opener he got hurt, and they went to a freshman called Phil Bradley, who became the first black starting quarterback at the University of Missouri. 1977.
He did a good job, too.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Played for the Seattle Mariners, too.
And then he became a better baseball player.
Yeah. He did. That's a good story. Yeah, Phil Bradley was a good hero.
As a matter of fact, he came here. He left Seattle and went to, was it Boston? He was leading the league in hitting.
Wow.
And Phil didn't like doing interviews, right? And I showed up in the dugout, and he saw me, and we started talking. And he goes, "Yeah, for you, I'll do an interview." And everybody's looking like, Phil Bradley's talking to you?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we go way back.
He wound up with Baltimore.
Baltimore. I said Boston. Yeah.
Baltimore. And that was big time for me because I had that was 77. I was playing with Doug. Doug was going for the Heisman.
Right.
And so then here comes Phil. He comes in and it just really starts balling. And it just really made you take a look at him. And just look at what he was going through, because Doug was going through a lot of stuff at that time, being the first HBCU.
And Phil did too.
Yes, and yes, that's what we know at Grambling. We knew that without any reports coming out. We knew that he was going through a lot of stuff, because here's Doug at HBCU going through all of these things and jump over all these hurdles, and so we knew what Phil
he was taking heat, and it's like, hey, the kid's a freshman. He's right out of high school, and he's starting now.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of criticism.
And then he turned everybody's heads the next 3 years. He was awfully good.
Linebacker.
Who?
Where?
Where? Micah Parsons.
That's a where. Where do you want him?
People are shouting Bobby Wagner at you right now.
Well, how much does Bobby Wagner want to play for?
A lot of money.
He does?
He kind of at the end of
That's what I'm thinking.
He's in his 30s too, right?
Right, yes.
I mean,
the Cowboys could have had Bobby Wagner back in 2012.
Could they afford
in the draft?
In the draft.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do we need to review that?
No. Yes.
Cowboys traded up. They traded the 14th pick and the 45th pick to move up to number 6 and took Mo Claiborne. And they could have had Michael Brockers and Bobby Wagner.
Let me say this: Mo Claiborne was a heck of a player in college.
He was.
I don't know what happened.
He couldn't stay healthy.
It was more than that.
But he couldn't stay healthy, and then he lost confidence.
He sure did. He sure did.
But he was. I saw him play in person at LSU, and it's like, I want that guy.
That guy. He was that guy.
He was returning kicks.
Mm-hmm.
They would start a game, the game I was at, and they would receive, and the whole place would stand up in anticipation of the ball going to Morris Claiborne. So,
we just got buzzard luck on that. Was just buzzard luck on that one.
But how much does Wagner want? I would like him to be my middle linebacker. Could he sign a? I wonder what they paid. Linebacker they got from Miami for like 2 years when Bill was here. He was up for the Hall of Fame just recently.
Zach Thomas?
Zach Thomas. Yeah. They signed him to like a 2-year deal.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
It wasn't much. I mean, at the end of his career,
but Zach's from Texas, right? Wasn't he from Texas? So that kind of had a lot to do with it.
So, but yeah, that would be fine. But and again, I keep hearing say, well, you got $14 million that you didn't give Randy Gregory. You give it to Bobby Wagner. I'll repeat it. He was only going to cost $6 million the first year against the salary cap. So that's what you save, $6 million.
So can we, based on that, can we still get Bobby Wagner?
I don't know what he wants to make. And I mean,
and what other teams are offering.
Right, the other team, because it's not like the Cowboys are the only one that need a linebacker.
So do we have a report on others that are looking at him?
I have not heard that. I haven't seen that yet.
Because I mean, he's been out there.
Him online for sure. I saw a couple of the Ravens reaching out to him, wanting him to go there. So,
and then that drives the price up, right? Because we're in a free market here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but if you have Bobby Wagner, then that frees up Micah to do more things.
Yeah.
No, because you still need another. You still
Right.
need another linebacker.
Right.
I mean, it's Micah Parsons right now, and like I said, and who?
Well, I'm just saying a linebacker of that
year.
ilk, of that ability. Okay, and then you've got, Jibril Cox, who's coming off an injury.
Yeah.
And he
Jibril wasn't bad.
He played 5% of the defensive snaps last year. You're hoping. See, the whole key to this whole thing is going to be guys like Jibril Cox stepping up and filling these holes. Can he step up? You mentioned Josh Ball. You kind of laughed, but seriously, they thought he was going to compete for the third tackle. Can Chauncey Golston step up and be a defensive end? Can Simi Fehoko, is he a player? I don't know. 5th-round pick. They didn't use him very much. Can he step up?
They're going to have to now.
Right?
They're going to have to
if
now.
some of these guys can make half the jumps that Diggs did from 1 to 2, that's what you're hoping, right, Mick?
I agree.
Because now Osi Odighizua's got to. I mean, he's got to be a player. They don't have any other.
He showed signs of it.
He showed signs of it, but they don't have the other. Who's the other defensive tackle?
Gallimore,
and they need Bohanna to step up.
Gallamore's
and
gone?
be a player.
No, Gallimore's here. No, the ones that signed the 1-year deals were Brent Urban and Carlos Watkins, and so they're free agents.
As a matter of fact, I just saw Malik Collins signed a
nice deal with Houston.
Deal
nice
with Houston,
deal.
right?
Yep.
And he was a guy they didn't want to lose. It was the same thing with Anthony Hitchens. Would he like to come back?
There's another one right there
at linebacker. He's kind of at the end.
Now, he would be one that would be more in the salary range that you're talking about.
And I think he still has a home here.
Yeah.
So that would be – I could see that.
He was in one of the bunker suites at the Thanksgiving game.
Well –
they had the week off, so he decided to come to
the week off.
I was like, wait a minute.
I thought you meant when we went to Kansas City. I thought I saw him on the field.
No. When Kansas City had that week off,
right?
They had their bye week that week. Okay, so it's funny because if you look down, there's a suite in the end zone where I think a couple of the players had a suite down there, and he was sitting front row watching the game. I was like, oh, that's very interesting.
And I think that's and I haven't seen his name come up, so what about a 1 or 2 year deal? And, he was still starting for Kansas City. He was a cap casualty. All of a sudden,
and he'll turn 30 in June.
They gave him
still young.
They gave him that big contract when the Cowboys thought, okay, let him go into free agency. We'll find out what he's worth. And Kansas City paid him
and they
well.
got a ring.
What do you think's going to happen with Leighton Vander Esch?
I don't know.
Are you surprised he hasn't signed with anybody yet, Mick?
Am I surprised?
Yes.
I am not.
Somewhat, but not really. And you might be able to get him back on a 1-year
that tells you that tells you that he's not getting the offers because he would be jumping at something, right?
I would think so. I think he wants to come back. I don't know though what the price would be and how much they'd pay.
I think the price is coming down.
Because look, if you're just a pure middle linebacker, they're not going to pay you as a 60 snap a game starter because you're coming out on
third
nickel,
downs
right?
and nickel, yeah.
Which gets us to Jaron Kearse. Can they re-sign him? it sounds like he's not getting a lot of action, and it sounds like he's kind of mad about it.
He should be. This guy should have been in the Pro Bowl.
Because he played awfully well.
Yes, he did.
In his role. Now, maybe other teams say, well, we're not playing that type of defense.
It doesn't matter. This kid can play.
But you can find a spot for him, right?
He's a strong safety. Okay? If you want to look at him as just a strong safety, then he's one of the better strong safeties in the NFL, period.
And so the Cowboys did re-sign Hooker, but it was a very cap-friendly deal, by the way. It was 2 years, $7 million, but he only got $1.7 million of a signing bonus. And his cap.
I keep looking at these numbers. He only got. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just think about that.
Would you have jumped at it?
I jumped. I would have jumped over the moon.
He's got a $1.3 million base salary, so his cap hit the first year is $2.5 million. So if you get a starting
how does
safety,
he live on that?
Yeah, I know.
If you get a starting safety for that, and you still have Donovan Wilson, but the role Curse played was part safety but part linebacker,
That's
right?
the difference. And Wilson can't do that.
And they would like to have him back. But again, it comes down to what somebody else can offer.
And really, on Leighton and all these the market hasn't been set for those inside linebackers yet. And when Wagner's going to
set it,
people are waiting to see, because there are some linebackers out there. Rashawn Evans from Tennessee, Dante Hightower's out there. There's
I thought
others.
Somebody just got signed. Miles Jack.
Yeah, Miles Jack got 2 years. Did he get 2 years, $16 million?
I think that
from
sounds
Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh,
yeah,
right?
And he was a cap casualty in Jacksonville, and so they let him go, and then he signed quickly with Pittsburgh.
He's a good player.
Yeah,
He's a good player.
He had trouble.
You go back to that was the 2016 draft, and the Cowboys had a decision to make. Jalen Smith or Miles Jack both coming off injuries. You remember Jason Garrett talked to us right after that draft.
Yes.
And the medicals that they had on Jalen was that they felt like that the knee injury he had, he'd be able to come back from and have a longer career than the Miles Jack knee injury from back then.
So the other two linebackers that have signed were Jordan Hicks. He got a 2-year, $10 million
with Minnesota.
And the other one was Oren Burks, who was with Green Bay last year, signed with San Francisco.
Are these guys any good?
2 years, $5 million.
Jordan Hicks had a nice year with Arizona.
Yes.
So you're talking some very affordable numbers.
Yeah.
If that's the one that
inside linebackers typically don't get that much, and Wagner brings you something different,
Well, pedigree,
and
leadership and all that stuff,
which they can use.
I mean, he's basically
that's the other thing they lose. By the way, I didn't bring it up with Cooper. Like, is CeeDee Lamb like the leader of the wide receiver group? I don't know how much he says. I know Michael Gallup doesn't say much.
How much was Cooper?
Oh, I think he commanded some attention.
He commanded respect.
In his way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was a pretty good leader. And, maybe in his third year, CD steps up and,
and the other part of that is if Cooper, who is he wasn't a crusty veteran, but he had been in the league a lot longer than those other wide receivers, they are all going to, because they respect him.
Right.
He's now we see what kind of leaders the other guys can be because the big dog's out of the room now.
And we never got to the kicking situation.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At least the punter.
Has Johnny Hecker signed here yet?
I don't think so, but, I mean, how much does he want compared to what somebody's going to offer Brian Anger?
I'm going to miss Anger. I'm going to miss him, I promise you. That was our 12th defensive player.
But they got the deep snapper re-signed.
That's great.
Jake McQuaid.
Just don't know who he's snapping to.
Yeah. No, that was our 12th defensive player, Anger. He set us up really well on field position.
He was pretty darn consistent, right?
He was.
And that's a thing that, the kicking situation, if you look back, it had always been very consistent, right? LP Lattiser, Dan Bailey, Chris Jones.
Take that stuff for granted.
Right?
Okay, as we close it out, who's one guy that you'd like to see the Cowboys sign in the next week before we convene again? Do you have one player that you would like to see them sign? It doesn't have to be the highest dollar figure, or it can be a kicker. It can whatever. It can be a punter. It can be Brian Anger.
It's easy.
It could be a guard.
J-Ron.
J-Ron Curse.
They have to sign him. They have to sign him.
Well, the one that they absolutely have to sign just to cover themselves is Dorrance Armstrong at defensive.
And that's close, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's real close.
Now, if I got a wish list, I'd love to see Bobby Wagner.
That's my guy.
If they can afford it.
If they can afford
and
it.
everybody's like, oh, they got to get this guy. You got to be able to afford him, and not only afford him for 2022, but 2023, 2024, because they've ran out of adding voidable years to Dak Prescott's contract, right?
And Zach, right?
And next year, that contract's going up to double digits. His cap charge is going to be about $30 million.
But then the new TV contract,
and hopefully that allows you to absorb some. So so you got a plan. It's not just this year, but for this year, like the Randy Gregory thing, everybody's like, well, you could have franchised him. Well, that was going to be $19 million. And as you saw the way the contract was structured, he was only going to count 6 this year, not 19. So those are the things you have to consider when saying, I want this, I want that. Sort of like raising your children, right? I want this, I want that, but they don't know how much it costs.
Yeah, I want them out at 18, and then they end up moving back at 36. Yeah, it happens. It just happens. It just happens.
We're sending that clip to your son.
All right. That does it for this edition of Mick Shots. No telling what will happen
in 5 minutes,
or for sure
by time
in 7 days.
Oh, it's
That's
already
right.
happened, guys.
So we
That's
will
the
see
way
you
our show
again next
goes.
Thursday at 11:30.
Go Cowboys!
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.